Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So at this point, we have just 2 weeks to get the Social Security Fairness Act signed into law. This is a bill that once again has a ton of bipartisan support. Both Republicans love it, Democrats also love it. Right now, the bill is in the Senate. It's already passed in the House of Representatives by a wide margin. A ton of bipartisan support once again in this bill. And one of the things not often talked about in this bill is if it passes, not only will it include huge increases, anywhere between $360, $700 plus per month, but it's also going to be including retroactive payments as well. So we are going to be covering that in today's video, plus some changes that could possibly be taking place in 2025 or over the next couple of years under Trump's regime. But before we go ahead and dive into it for today, if you would like to receive up to $18,000 in free stock or $18,000 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Webull. All you have to do is once you click on that link, is just sign up for a free account and then simply deposit at least $100. At that point in time, Webull will be sending you 6 free stocks worth all the way up to $18,000. Okay, so diving into it for today, before we get into the Social Security Fairness Act and the retroactive checks worth up to thousands of dollars, worth right around $6,000 or so on average, we are first going to be getting into some possible changes that could be taking place over the next few years under Trump's regime. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this article here by the Motley Fool. They say changes to Social Security that we might see in Trump's presidency. So 4 years later, President-elect Donald Trump is about to do what only one other person in history, Grover Cleveland, has done before him, become president a second time after previously being voted out of office. Social Security didn't exist during Cleveland's administration. However, the federal program is important today to nearly 73 million beneficiaries. What changes to Social Security might we see in Trump's second presidential term? So first off, we're going to be covering some of the things that Trump has proposed. Now remember, a lot of these things that he's proposing, or what anyone will propose, needs to first pass Congress. So most of these things will need to have bipartisan support, which, let's face it, bipartisan support is actually pretty rare. So they go on to say here that Trump didn't campaign for president with a broad plan to reform Social Security. He even said at a town hall hosted by Fox News that, quote, "You don't have to touch Social Security." However, Trump did propose 2 Social Security changes during the recent presidential race. So first off, in that town hall, he did state that the U.S. has money laying in the ground that could be used to fund Social Security. This, of course, was a reference to the country's oil and gas reserves. Trump suggested that the U.S. could bolster Social Security financially by increasing oil and gas drilling, although no details have been provided about this plan. Now, his most publicized Social Security proposal, though, was to eliminate federal taxes on Social Security benefits for retirees. This isn't a new idea. Before 1985, Social Security benefits weren't subject to federal taxes, and 41 states don't tax Social Security retirement benefits either. Trump has specifically rejected some changes to Social Security. For example, he's adamant about not increasing the full retirement age and has insisted that he won't reduce Social Security benefits. So, of course, he wants to do away with the tax at the federal level on Social Security benefits. We have seen different proposals suggesting that same thing by both Republicans as well as Democrats, although the ideas that they do to offset not taxing benefits sort of differs. Now, they go on to say here that some of Trump's other proposals don't involve changing Social Security, at least directly, but could still impact the federal program. For example, the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE for short, he wants to establish could identify administrative efficiencies for the Social Security Administration. Trump proposed eliminating taxes on tips and overtime during the presidential campaign. Both moves would reduce the amount of revenue flowing into Social Security because you're also paying taxes. You're paying the payroll taxes like the Social Security, 6.2% that would be going into the trust fund, so you'd have less money flowing into the trust fund to pay people who are receiving Social Security benefits. Now, they also go on to say here that many economists believe that the president-elect's proposed tariffs of up to 20% on all imports into the U.S. and even higher tariffs on products imported from certain countries, including China, will cause inflation to rise. If so, that could translate to higher Social Security cost of living adjustments. Trump has also said that millions of immigrants who entered the U.S. illegally should be deported. If this happens, it could also cause higher inflation and therefore higher Social Security COLAs if businesses have to pay more to attract other workers and pass those increased costs along to customers. Many unauthorized immigrants also pay federal taxes, a portion of which helps fund Social Security. And in 2022, an estimated $22.6 billion of Social Security's revenue stemmed from taxes paid by unauthorized immigrants, according to the American Immigration Council. So, of course, all these are sort of hypothetical things that could maybe hurt Social Security, but again, it depends whether or not Trump actually implements these ideas and sort of what the outcome is. Now, even though a lot of these ideas by Trump may not be bipartisan, he might get most Republicans on board, but a lot of Democrats may not be on board with his idea. One idea right now that has a ton of bipartisan support is the Social Security Fairness Act. Now, what this bill does is it repeals two different things. It repeals the WEP as well as the GPO, which is short for the Windfall Elimination Provision, as well as the Government Pension Offset. Now, if this bill passes, it not only is going to be increasing benefits for right around 3 million beneficiaries, but on top of that, it's also going to include retroactive checks of right around $6,000 on average. We're going to be covering why, but first off, we are going to be looking at this article here by CBS News, which basically is going to be explaining what this bill does. So the legislation would cut two provisions that curtail retirement payments for public workers and their surviving spouses and the family members: the Windfall Elimination Provision and the Government Pension Offset, which Spanberger and Graves argue are tantamount to theft of those workers' benefits. The WEP impacts about 2 million Social Security beneficiaries and the GPO nearly 800,000 retirees, so right around 3 million in total. Now, as things stand now, the WEP reduces the Social Security benefits of workers who also receive a public pension from a job not covered by Social Security. For instance, that would include teachers who don't earn Social Security through their public school positions, but who work part-time or during the summer in jobs that are covered by Social Security, even though they pay into the system over enough quarters to qualify. The GPO, on the other hand, impacts the spousal benefits of people who work for federal, state, or local governments, including police officers, firefighters, and teachers, if the job is not covered by Social Security. The GPO cuts by 2/3 the benefit received by surviving spouses who also collect a government pension, often offsetting benefits entirely. So if you work a public sector job, but you also work in the private sector as well, and you're paying into Social Security enough quarters, simply because you're receiving that pension, you're being unfairly punished by the Social Security Administration by having your benefits reduced. Now, according to FedWeek, repealing the GPO and WEP would boost benefits by $700, $360 monthly on average. So according to them, a Congressional Budget Office analysis of the impact of the pending bill, the Social Security Fairness Act, to repeal the Social Security Windfall Elimination Provision, says the action would increase Social Security benefits for the affected by $360 a month on average at first, rising to an estimated $460 a month in 2033. The estimate further says that repealing the government pension offset would increase benefits at first by an average of $700 a month for spouses and by an average of $1,190 for surviving spouses. And then in December 2033, that would increase to reach $860 and $1,520 respectively. So basically, as far as the retroactive checks go, back to that article by CBS News, they say that if this is signed into law, the changes would be effective for benefits payable after December 2023. So basically, these checks would be retroactive all the way back to January of 2024. So basically a full year of payments. And we're just going to be taking the average because according to FedWeek, it's going to increase payments by $360 up to right around $700. So we're just going to use $500 as a middle point, $500 per month over the course of a year, over the course of the entire 2024. That would equal out to $6,000 retroactive checks. Of course, that could be less. It could also be substantially more. This is going to be life-changing money, not only in 2025 moving forward, but also to receive that retroactive check if this bill is signed into law. But again, it's going to be coming down to whether or not Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer decides to put this bill on the floor for a vote and allows for it to pass. It definitely has the votes that it would need to pass. It just comes down to whether or not Chuck Schumer sees this bill as more of a priority or sees as more like confirming more of the federal judges as more of a priority. It's pretty much completely up to him, but we're going to go ahead and see what happens. We have 2 weeks left to get this bill across the finish line, or unfortunately, if it does not pass by the end of this year, we will have to start all the way back at square one in 2025 with the new Congress. But that's all we have for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.